I understand. We opened the PlayStation press conference with the trailer you just saw, and then we had 3 full days of live show appearances, interviews,
yeah.
and
It's hectic.
and theater demos, and that's what we're here to talk about today. We want to make sure everyone at home who had a chance, who didn't have a chance to attend E3, would have a chance to check out the demo.
Okay.
So we're going to show that footage off. We're going to take your questions. Thank you to everyone who submitted them through Facebook and Twitter. And we're going to be talking about our latest multiplayer update. So we've got a packed show. Before we get started, though, I thought it'd be great to kind of recap or kind of reiterate for some people kind of the premise for Uncharted: The Lost Legacy, for anybody who did kind of miss some of the coverage at E3. So yeah, Sean, what is kind of the main foundation of this game?
Well, Uncharted: Lost Legacy is Chloe's journey. It
Your
follows
questions.
the
Thank you to
witty
everyone who submitted them
hustler,
through
wheeling,
Facebook and
dealing
Twitter.
Chloe Fraser
And
as
we're going to be
she's
talking
after
about
the
our
tusk of
latest
Ganesh,
multiplayer
a fabled
update.
treasure
So we've
of
got a
the
packed
great
show.
Kosala people,
Before we get started,
the great
though,
Kosala
I thought it'd be
Empire.
great to kind of
Chloe Fraser's
recap or
got
kind
recent
of
intel
reiterate
that
for some
this
people
tusk
kind of
is,
the premise for
or
Uncharted: The
sorry,
Lost
that,
Legacy, for anybody
an
who did kind
artifact
of miss
has
some of the
been
coverage
unearthed
at
that
E3.
holds the clues to the
So yeah,
tusk.
Sean, what
But
is kind of
unfortunately for Chloe,
the main
this
foundation of this
artifact is in
game?
the hands of this ruthless,
Uncharted:
Lost Legacy is Chloe's journey. So desperate to get her hands
Your
on this
questions. Thank
witty
you to everyone who submitted them
hustler,
through
wheeling,
Facebook and
dealing
Twitter.
Chloe Fraser
And
as
we're going to be
she's
talking
after
about
the
our
tusk of
latest
Ganesh,
multiplayer
a fabled
update.
treasure
So we've
of
got a
the
packed
great
show.
Kosala people,
Before we get started,
the great
though,
Kosala
I thought it'd be
Empire.
great to kind of
Chloe Fraser's
recap or
got
kind
recent
of
intel
reiterate
that
for some
this
people
tusk
kind of
is,
the premise for
or
Uncharted: The
sorry,
Lost
that,
Legacy, for anybody
an
who did kind of
artifact
miss
has
some
been
coverage
she
of
lists
at
the only
E3.
person she knows
So yeah,
knowledgeable
Sean.
enough to help her on this journey, ex-paramilitary leader of Shoreline, Nadine Ross. And of course, it's an uneasy alliance.
Yeah. So
Can I-
sorry, go ahead.
Can I say you got really good at that?
Really good. It's great.
So this picks up after the events of Uncharted 4, but it isn't directly tied to the events of Uncharted 4, so you don't really need to have played
Correct.
U4 to really know it.
Yeah, it's its own thing. It's its own journey.
I
You
mean,
can jump
obviously, all
right
the
in.
characters in in Uncharted all know each other in some ways, and there's fun references to the other games. So, if
Yeah.
you played the previous games, you'll get all the references and fun.
But what is their kind of level of experience with one another coming into the game? Do they know each other? Have they worked together before?
They've heard of each other. They, this thieving world is pretty small, but they don't. They have no relationship prior
Their
to
It's like the
this.
6
their
degrees of
first
Nathan Drake.
time
Yeah.
working together.
Yeah.
Profession.
Got it. Okay, so let's establish the kind of setup for this demo. Where are we picking up? What is coming into this right before we get to the footage here? What do people need to know?
Okay, so they've thrust it into the Western Ghats of India. We picked them up where they've just solved their first real clue, and they're like now about to make some headway, but they're being pursued by a Sav, who they recently stole the artifact, one of the first clues from. So we're picking it up as them just got their clue in the Western Ghats and making good headway.
Got it. All right. Well, let's see the footage.
So,
Impressive. Yeah. Now, how do we get off this thing?
Good question. Follow me. Right. Reckon we can cut through the city and get back to the gate.
I'll take point. Stay close.
Lead the way.
at this. We're making progress,
Dumb.
no?
Maybe. But check out this watch. Took it from that old man in the city. Dumb bastard. Didn't give it up easily.
Right. You take left,
Yeah,
I take right.
remember.
What the? That works too. Nice job.
Probably more where that came from.
Right.
Above you.
Nothing personal. There. I'll bet the aqueduct's routed through that structure.
I doubt we're free and clear. Keep an eye out.
It's a saw! Get to the building! Go! Watch the tree! Come on, this way! Right! Fraser! Over here! Be right there!
Never knew what hit him.
Let's go! Assistant asshole, aren't you? We're nearly to the building. Copy that. You all right?
I think so.
Oh, shit.
Where are we?
No idea. But at least we're not in the line of fire. Well, hopefully there's another way out.
What do you suppose that thing on the floor is?
Nothing good. See those channels? Doubt they were meant for water.
Oh. Nice. Right.
Sorry. Up here. Think there's a way through. Poor bastards.
Dunno. I'd prefer being left to rot in a cell to getting tortured.
Duly noted.
Hear that?
I do. Yep. There's the aqueduct. Up here. There's a breach.
The Eye of Shiva. It's impressive. My man worked for a week and turned up nothing.
They probably hired the wrong expert.
Perhaps. You know, a Hoysala poet once wrote of a young king who showed mercy and thus ended our rituals. But the old kings, they understood that progress demands sacrifice.
Is that what you tell your men?
All right. So, in times of war, these aqueducts, they would run red through the capital. Those who would not fight had to be used to inspire those who would.
So there you have it, our Uncharted: The Lost Legacy E3 demo. Hope you guys enjoyed it. There's a lot to unpack there. We had a bit of a cliffhanger. I'm assuming Chloe's just out of the picture at that point. It's
Credits roll.
Credits roll.
The game's over.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about what we saw, starting with the kind of beginning with Chloe and Nadine at the top of the waterfalls. Can you tell us a little bit more about the environment and kind of the scale of what we saw?
Well, we brought back the scale that you loved from the previous Uncharted. So there are these giant-size archaeological sites that you traverse, rope swing, climb, all the good stuff. And then we take you into the combat area, which is, of course, high-action combat. Kurt could speak more to that.
Yeah, I mean, we're doing more destructible environments than we've ever done before.
Yeah,
It's
lots of stuff blowing up.
And everything's old and stone and breaking apart. And we're talking about the scale. I mean, when we started this project, it was, what can we do with some new characters? And it was meant to be this smaller thing. And then, it grew into, for us to have the room to tell the story with these characters, we really needed the room to tell that story and fill in the backstories for these characters. So it grew into a much bigger thing. And that scope kind of extends to the game. We're, doing bigger exploration areas than we've ever done before. The fact that the whole game is set in India gives you a kind of an intimacy with that single location instead of, for an hour in one place. And in the globe-trotting adventure that Uncharted has traditionally been, we really get to dig into the Western Ghats in India and really experience that culture and dig into these ruins and really explore like we've never really done before. So it's exciting.
Yeah, just bringing back that sense of wonder, scale, adventure around every corner. Yeah, it's all good.
Yeah, and I think the demo really highlighted the dynamic between Chloe and Nadine. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Well, that dynamic actually spills into gameplay, right? Depending on where you are in the arc. At this point in the game, they're working well together. They've achieved a lot together. They fight well together. But during the course of this journey, they also splinter apart. The bond grows and breaks, and it's kind of their journey as a team and how they persevere.
Yeah,
So-
that's them working well together.
Yeah.
With the
And that's a small
kind of argument
slice.
back and forth, and
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
take left, I take right, and Nadine takes things into her own hands a lot. So you'll see that in the gameplay. She's always in the background, kicking ass and doing stuff as you would expect her to. What we know about her in Uncharted 4 is that she beats people up a lot and is really good at it. So when Chloe hires her for this job, it's kind of part of why she hires her on. She's the muscle.
She's the muscle.
Yeah, and I think we saw some of that in the PSX demo from December. You saw kind of Chloe and Nadine. They were fighting well together out of necessity, but at the end of it, it was a little tense. Like, Nadine was a little pissed that Chloe was late, and that they were forced to be put in that kind of situation. So, will we see kind of more of that throughout the game? That kind of like peaks and valleys of their relationship? Or
Absolutely,
is it,
yeah, absolutely. They're the opposite, right? I mean, they have a common thread, which is self-preservation, right? That's what they, normally they all bail when it gets too tough, but they're the opposite in every other way. I mean, Chloe's very pragmatic, Chloe's very enigmatic, and cunning and a hustler. And Nadine is more pragmatic, very by the book, militant leader. So they, couldn't be further apart.
And that relationship is the core of like why we chose these characters, because we knew that their personalities would play well off each other, and that was like what we built the game around.
Yeah.
And where is Nadine after the events of Uncharted 4? Like, what's her situation at this point?
Well, she's weakened, right? Shoreline's declined. She is desperate to get it back or get some sense of control back. I mean, she is a control freak. So when we meet her up in this game, she is not, she's compromised. She has to work hard. She has to work with this individual reluctantly to gain back control of Shoreline.
It's the two characters are both. It's a first for both of them.
Yeah.
Nadine, it's her first time not being in control. She's hired by Chloe on this job. She's got to take orders, as it were. And Chloe's first time
In
kind of really
control.
on her own job, and she's not the sidekick anymore, and she's running the show.
We also saw got a better look at Asav. I think we saw for the first time in the trailer,
Right.
but obviously got a much more kind of intimate look at here. Can you talk a little bit more about his background and where he fits in the story?
Sure. So Asav is an insurgent leader. He is from India and feels entitled to these lands. So there's two trains of thought, if you will, in this world. One of the old kings and one of the new king. The new king was a more progressive king that changed that empire, or the Hosala Empire, forever, right? And Asav is more akin with the old king's way of doing things. He sees the new king and or the descendants of those people as weaker, and he is desperate also to establish his reign over these lands by attaining the same Tusk of Ganesh.
Yeah, and the actor who plays Asav, Usman Ali,
yeah.
he is awesome. You can kind of see it there. He's kind of calm, calculating, kind of menacing.
Yeah, very intelligent, very formidable, very calculated. That's the character, very grounded as well.
Does he come into play periodically throughout the campaign, or is it like really kind of just a series of like kind of key confrontations, or is it like, are they at odds for most of it?
Yeah, they're always at odds. I mean, he himself comes in at key confrontations when you least expect him. But it's his men that, and the environment and their personalities that are the antagonists in this world.
And then working with the other actors, so we have Claudia Black back, which is awesome. We've got Laura
Awesome,
Bailey
yes.
as well as Nadine. How was the dynamic between them on the set? Like, was it pretty?
Oh, they're fun to work with. I mean, these characters are brought to life by these actresses, I should say. You know, Claudia's got that, you know, sharp, witty personality that Chloe has, and she does a really good job at captivating Chloe. Likewise, Laura Bailey, I mean, she is a riot off camera, but she does a really good job at the stern, by the book Nadine as well. These are their characters. And
Yeah,
it's a joy working
When
with
I
them.
see, and just with the facial capture that we do, there's so much of Claudia's, her own facial tics and things that you know when you see it in the game, and you're like, that's Claudia as Chloe. So yeah, it's kind of this surreal thing of.
Which also wasn't really present the last time we saw her in Uncharted 3. I mean, obviously techniques have evolved, technology's
Right.
evolved, so you see a lot more of that there. And then, you know, I met Usman at E3, and you know, having seen him in his other roles on different shows, like I didn't quite see the resemblance, but then I saw him in person, and I was like, oh, he is Asab. I'm like, I'm staring right at him.
Yeah.
So enough of my questions. We actually sourced a bunch of questions from Facebook and Twitter. Thanks to everyone who submitted. So I'm gonna do a little kind of power round with you guys. Just get through as many questions as we can. So Ashley asked via Facebook, what made you pick Chloe and Nadine to focus on for this story?
Yeah, well, after Uncharted 4, we wrapped the Nathan Drake story, and we started exploring the cast in the Uncharted world. There was many to choose from. We started pairing up different characters, side characters. We did the Sullivan story, or at least blocked out these outlines, and went back and forth for a bit. It was so captivating. It just
We kept coming back to as like, I don't know, like a present to ourselves. Like, what if it was Chloe? 'Cause, like everyone expects Sully and Sam. Like that's where we were. Like that was the obvious choice. 'Cause
It's
it's
the easy
how-
way
and
out.
It's not
Yes.
Uncharted 4 ends and like things, but we're just like Chloe though. It's been a while, and it was kind of like, are people gonna know Chloe if they haven't played the other games? And we're just like, and we love, you know, Nadine from Uncharted 4. We don't know a lot about her, and like again, it's about characters and relationships. So we had to have that first, and once we had that, it was like, okay, yeah, let's try to build an arc.
yeah, and there were blank canvases as well. Well, right, previous games, and internally as well, we wanted to see a different side of them and get to why they are.
Yeah, so that leads really nicely into, are we going to learn more about Chloe's past through this game?
Yeah, absolutely. This is a deep dive into what makes Chloe Fraser and why she, you know, so we get underneath the layers of Chloe and get a window into her. Definitely, yes.
Got it. Okay. Peter asks, is this a DLC or a standalone game, and how long is
I
it?
said when we built this thing, it was originally a smaller project, and you know we needed to grow it to get. To tell the story we wanted to tell. So yeah, I mean, it's hard to know when we're doing playtests. We have these different numbers because some of the gameplay areas are very, you know, not like, but you know, pretty damn close to an.
So Amelia asks via Twitter, how was the approach to gameplay mechanics different with this Uncharted game, i.e., keeping it familiar but still fresh and new?
Yeah. So when we think about evolving, like what we've done in all the Uncharted's, and we think about Chloe as a character, who is she? She's a thief. This lockpick mechanic that we showed off in PSX, you know, that's a game-wide mechanic. There's areas you can go and find, you know, enemy crate boxes and unlock them and get weapons and treasures and things because they're on this environment, scouring the 4x4 back and really open up exploration like we have never done. And that's, you know, we keep talking about this, you know, there's parts of the game where it's very open, very big. Some of the puzzle stuff we're doing is